Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and the last time I played this Lilith I actually finished first if you exclude all the cheaters, so I'm looking forward to this one. I hope to repeat that again today, and of course to get there we'll have to do some tricky business and you'll see what that is later on, but for now we just focus on the goods. So when you're playing as Lilith, you usually have a pretty strong start just because you have a box of friends, which means you can duplicate your damage against bosses or maybe against difficult rooms, or if you have battery charges on the floor then you can actually do that multiple times. And the fact that we got Proptosis out of our item here is obviously a very good sign, because not only does it really increase our damage, because we have box of friends we can use it multiple times to really double our damage output. But the one problem with Lilith is very apparent in this room, just because the Incubus is lagging behind, it's hitting the enemy kind of backwards even though we're shooting forward, and that's just because the size of our tiers and the hitboxes and things like that just made for this unfortunate situation. I wish, like that those are the perils that come with playing Lilith, so it's not something that, maybe you want to see when you're playing Lilith, but it's something that's gonna happen. I really wish that there was a way to kind of have a more concrete familiar, so that the familiar would kind of be closer to you. That especially is apparent when you have more than one familiar, when you start picking them up. Like in this case, Little Loki is still kind of accurate, but as soon as you start picking up next familiars, it's gonna be so much harder to aim with them. And you're just gonna have this wall of familiars, and you're just gonna focus on one, which means that your damage output will be really kind of reduced. But thankfully, just because we did get Brimstone here, we really have nothing to worry about. Brimstone actually works rather well with Proptosis. It really massively increases your damage. But the problem is that the damage is only applied on a somewhat short range. It's not super short, so you can still kind of kill enemies from a distance away, but you can't kill them across the map anymore. But just because killing them across the map now gets its damage reduced so much that it's just impossible to kill them. But because we do have Box of Friends, it means our damage is multiplied by 2, effectively, which means that when we use it on a boss, and if we are close enough, we can usually 1 or 2 shot them at most, even though we have no any other damage ups. So that really goes to say just how strong this combination is and just how much we can do with it. So for that reason, it's obviously nice that we have kind of a passive way to deal damage, and I think that's how things go with Lilith. When you're really strong, your damage just gets amplified because you have so much more effectiveness over it, just because you do have the ability to duplicate it. But when your run is kind of weak, then things get a bit tedious, because even if you duplicate a very bad tier stat or a tier rate or damage, you're not gonna do that much better, just because it's so hard to aim both shots at once. It's really kind of hard to effectively utilize those double damages, or actually land 2 tiers at once. It's not like with something like 2020, which is guaranteed almost to hit because the tiers are so close, but it's more like because the familiars are so far apart, especially if you have more of them, then things start getting tricky, and it's really hard to aim. For that reason, Lilith is not the best character when you're weak, but then I guess any character is not the best character when you're weak. But when you're strong, you really can get out of control, and I think some of these dailies really go to prove that. And we just have basically 2 items. Granted, one of those items is Brimstone, and Brimstone is obviously one of the best items you can hope for. And for that reason, we can start doing some really nice things. Another nice thing we have is the sacrificial dagger, and anytime we use Box of Friends, that sacrificial dagger is also gonna get doubled in a way. So that's great for us. Obviously, that's something we really want to do. But even though our Box of Friends is very useful, because we do have those benefits for sacrificial daggers and double damage, Tammy's head is just a bit too good to pass up at this point, because we do have Brimstone. Using Tammy's head, not hand, means that we'll be able to clear all rooms, all bosses in just a matter of 1 click. And if that's not something you kind of wish for on any daily run or just any run in general, then I don't know. I don't think I've ever had this item combo in the time I've spent playing the daily runs, which is super odd because I know it has happened a lot, but I just never personally had it, which is, and I'm super happy to have it. I'm not afraid to use it because it does happen so rarely. And it's so beautiful. It's just so nice to just go through the rooms and just press the spacebar item, and then you just kill everyone, and things go great from here. But obviously this is not enough to get the best score. Obviously it's a good enough way to get score, but it's not the ultimate way to get score. Like, this is not gonna put us at the top 1, just because getting these items is not too rare, which means a lot of people are gonna do it. Usually if you want to get a good score, it means you have to invest something that most people didn't invest to. And sometimes that's time, you know, sometimes that's just knowledge. You have to invest some knowledge that other people don't have, so you can maybe break the game in a different way than what is usual. Or maybe you just really have to look deep and far to find things you want to find. We did have the blank card in our shop, and that is definitely something we're taking, but because we have the stars card, I abused the fact that we have Tammy's Head to fight boss rush. I used, obviously, the Tammy's Head every wave to just kill enemies very fast. You can see we were finished in, I think, about 2 minutes. And then I just went back to pick up the blank card. We're strong enough to deal with enemies on our own without the use of Tammy's Head. Obviously, it's so much more useful to have Tammy's Head. But the fact that we found blank card means we can potentially really break the game even more, and the fact that we have sack head means that we're gonna have a lot of consumables, a lot of battery charges, a lot of ways to really duplicate our score or our Shrek points to the point where we really start doing something really sweet. At this point, you know, I'm just playing all the machines, all the like spirit heart machines. I forgot how they're called. Fortune tellers. That's exactly it. I'm playing the fortune tellers in hopes of getting some good cards. You know, like anything would be really useful. The death card would be useful against some of these rooms. The world card is useful in this situation, but only can use it one more time because we only go to Mom's Heart. Or maybe cards like the sun. But basically, I'm just saying anything that can either generate us points or maybe anything that gives us some sort of advantage. And we did manage to get the card, the card that spawns beggars. And my plan is to the judgment card. Yeah. So my plan is to just go around, use battery charges, and just spawn a lot of beggars in one room. And this is more of one of those dailies that really rely on you being very patient and very meticulous. Not so much about skill, just about, yeah, being patient. And what I do is just I spawn them, I blow them up with a bomb. The hole was actually not very good, like not a lot of sacks, as I was expecting. And my plan was to actually explode them, get a lot of sacks, and then when I have a lot of sacks, then I can actually spawn more of them and then shoot them again, because those sacks do contain the battery charges. But thankfully in this one, what happens, we do manage to find the blood bank, which is obviously a very good thing, because we can play it, get sacks, get coins, and we can do a lot of crazy things with that. And for that reason, you know, I'm still going back and forward, abusing my power of having the judgment card and spawning them in the shop, and the fact that we get some battery charges. I also abuse that fact that I can go back and forward multiple times. You can see me not picking up some coins and some battery charges, and what I'm doing is I'm just preparing, if I get a Yara rune, to actually efficiently break the game. So that means that one room is just gonna be dedicated to battery charges, and the rooms adjacent to it are gonna be dedicated just to consumables. And because I have coins, and whenever I pick up coins, I spawn keys, I plan on just having that coin just to max out my coin donation, or donation just to get to 99 coins, and then I'll actually replace bombs or duplicate bombs in my secret room, so I can get just a lot of Shrek points that way. And this was actually more of what I expected the last time I actually did this, that I would get more sacks, more consumables, and you know, the duplication of coins isn't really necessary at this point because we do have so many. But the Jara is stubborn this day. It was very hard to get it. Here I'm just playing the sacrificial room a few times just to get down to my score, so I can maybe better gauge at which point I am. Thankfully, because we have Dark Bomb and there are a lot of red hearts, we are really able to restore our health to a great way. And at this point, it's just about being patient. I'm just playing the blood bank, getting a lot of coins. I managed to find the Hierophant card, which means I can use the charges from the sacks to spawn more spirit hearts, which means I can play the blood bank more, and then I can use the coins I get from the blood bank to play the machine and the skull master. I'm not sure how it's called, but of course then if you get another card like temperance card, that's what I'm looking for, is we can use those spirit hearts again to play that one and get more coins. And basically what I'm doing here is just trying to do everything I can, spawning judgments, getting those coins, getting those sacks, getting a lot of battery charges, hoping to get a card which will increase our Shrek points. So at this point this is already increasing our Shrek points to a certain degree. We are picking up consumables, but it is not the way to go if you want the maximum amount of points. So for that reason I'm really kind of investing myself in just getting all of those things that I can. And sadly, you know, eventually everything does break. I did blow up the guy, but luckily the last judgment I spawned, it was like a Hail Mary play. I get a Yarrow rune, which is obviously like super exciting. I did spend like 10 minutes on just the arcade trying to spawn a Yarrow rune, and at this point, you know, this is exactly what we were looking for. So I pick up my flat penny, I pick up the Yarrow rune. This rune will be dedicated just to battery charges, so I try to move everything away from it so there are no distractions or no other consumables. I pick up the bomb, and it's all about duplicating this battery. Thankfully, there's still one battery charge I left in the curse room because I didn't go back to it, which means I can use that battery charge to duplicate this battery charge. And what you can do is just run into a battery charge, and as soon as you pick it up, duplicate it, and the game will think that the duplicate charge you are actually duplicating is that you haven't picked it up, which means you'll get 3 battery charges. And after that, it's very straightforward to just pick up the battery charges and just start duplicating them like crazy. There's a million of them. And at that point, you just go back and forward from the one to the next room and just start duplicating the coins in this situation. First of all, I want to get 99 coins, and because I do have the flat penny rune, the socks start spawning, and as soon as that gets overwhelming, I go back to my secret room. That was my original plan, to use the bombs, and I duplicate those. So at this point, we're actually playing rather well, I think. I didn't get hit way too much times, and I think we would actually be a good contender for the first spot, if only I didn't do a few silly things. Like, I did get hit a bit too much. Some of these rooms were annoying. I actually did pretty well until, like, I think the big L room. That's when I got hit like 2 times, and that's just due to the fact that the shooty guys that teleport spawned right on top of me, and that's unavoidable, you know, that's just something that's gonna happen. But I'm just, it's so bad. I mean, it just feels bad when you know you have a good run going, and some of these unfortunate things happen when you wish they didn't. But you know, whatever, we have a lot of bombs here. You can see we're duplicating them like crazy, and of course we are gonna duplicate them in the sense that we go to the battery room, we duplicate them until we start until we see that they start despawning, and when that happens, we know that we've reached our current limit for the room, and we'll just pick a few of them up, like half of them, and then we'll duplicate them again. And as soon as we see that we are not getting any points more, that's the point we stop. So you can see at this point our points are still somewhat increasing, so every kind of visit gives us about 20 or 30 score, which is not a lot obviously, but when you have this combination, you just really try to maximize it as much as you can. We are approaching at a point where it's starting to hit that asymptotic curve where we are not just getting more consumables. I know this isn't very interesting to watch, but I feel like it's important because having this combo is such a big part of daily runs in general. Just knowing how to use it, you know, it's not just about getting the blank card and the Yarrow rune. You also kind of have to set up the rooms properly, so it's efficient to actually duplicate those, so you don't spend like a million years just trying to get those points. And it really does help, you know, like having them in the next rooms and just kind of predicting how you're gonna use your rooms. So when you see a bomb, or maybe when you see a Yarrow rune or a battery charge, just know that you kind of have to use it in a way so you can duplicate them so they don't get in the way. Because if you have any other consumables you can pick up with any other consumables that you do want to pick up, then when you start duplicating, things can kind of get out of hand. So it's important to kind of prepare them and just have a consumable like a bomb or a key that you can just pick up without worries, and you know that there's no limit or a cap to it. With that said, we are at 42,000 points, which is actually not a very high score if you're going to a dark room. I mean, remember, this is still a mom's hard daily, so it's still a good score. I'm just saying, like, it could be higher. And because we did manage to get hit like something ridiculous like 50 times, and 24 times of those was the sacrifice room, granted, we do have a very high damage penalty, so minus 8,000, which is obviously not a good damage penalty, but because we have a lot of Shrek points and somewhat okay exploration bonus, and the fact that I actually did manage to efficiently use those cards and coins and batteries and bombs when duplicating, means that we actually don't have too bad of a time, in my opinion, even though we did spend like 10 minutes forcing that Yarrow rune into existence. But yeah, we did manage to finish 16th, which is obviously a very good score, and I'm just glad that these past few dailies actually turned out well for us. With that said, guys, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.